The movie opens with a couple kissing passionately. They are spending a romantic afternoon when one of them, named Sophie, confesses that she loves her. B, on the other hand, doesn't respond to the sudden confession. They are on their way to Sophie's friend's house, David, for a party during the hurricane. B seems extremely nervous as all of Sophie's friends are pretty well off, but she isn't. Sophie reassures her and arrives at the grand mansion. B is also a sweet girlfriend who is nice enough to bring her friends a little gift. Her friends are seen chilling by the pool. There's David and his girlfriend Emma, Alice and her much older boyfriend Greg, and Jordan. There had been another friend named Max, but he had left the previous night after indulging in a fight with David. He sports a black eye and seems perpetually annoyed. The others, except for Alice, don't seem too happy to see Sophie. As it turns out, she had barely contacted them, and they didn't know she was coming. B also gives David the gift, who seems to fake enthusiasm, and takes it. Right when everyone's just being mean to each other, Alice brings out an expensive bottle of champagne to commemorate the occasion, while her boyfriend gets an expensive sword, which David annoyingly yells is his dad's. Greg uses the sword to open the cork in a cool way, which bothers David more. Sophie declines the offer of the champagne as she is trying to stay sober. Thus, it's evident she has just returned from a rehabilitation center. While the friends are drinking their expensive champagne, torrential rain pours down, making everyone excited for their party. David yells at the rain now, "What a weird and dumb guy." Later, David makes an unsolicited comment about B, and Sophie asks him to shut up. They talk privately about Max. David tells her that Max had hit him about something involving Emma. Later, it is revealed that Max also likes Emma and had confessed to her the previous night, resulting in a fight between the two. He also talks about Sophie and rehab, further stating that everyone's uncomfortable with Greg being around because he's older and they don't know much about him. Sophie asks David about her parents, but he doesn't seem to know much about them anymore. Sophie looks upset at the information. Whilst the conversation is ongoing, Jordan seems to get way too close to B for someone whom she has just met. She also advises her to be careful of Sophie. The rest of the group is in the kitchen, making a TikTok. B joins them. They seem to welcome her warmly. The rest of the group join them, and they start their party as the weather outside gets worse. While the group is having fun and dancing around, doing everything they shouldn't during a storm, David tells Sophie to check up on her girl as she's being too cozy with Jordan. Sophie visibly gets upset at the sight and turns off the music, suggesting that they play Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Essentially, the game involves a killer who has to fake murder someone in the game while the lights are switched off. The victim has to pretend to drop dead. If someone comes across the dead victim, they have to yell, "Bodies, bodies, bodies." They turn on the lights and guess the killer. Before starting the game, they take a shot each after slapping each other. David takes this opportunity to punch Greg, who storms off angrily. Alice follows him immediately. That guy had been pissed since the beginning of the party when Emma had asked about Max. Anyway, the game begins. Everyone tries to not get killed by the unknown killer in the darkness. The storm rages on. During the game, B is seen crouching down with her phone's flashlight on as everybody runs around to hide somewhere. After a while of hide and seek, B hears David and Emma shouting, "Bodies, bodies, bodies." They turn the lights on, and it's Greg's body, but there's a problem. His body is not moving, and no matter how much they ask him to quit it and get up, he does not. Thankfully, David manages to anger him and wake him up. False alarm. Now starts the blame game to search for the killer. David finds another reason to pick a fight with Greg, who controls himself and leaves to go to bed. The others continue the game, and David insults his girlfriend. At this point, everyone just wants him to shut up. When all his friends vote for him as the killer, he acts like a man-child and leaves. Funnily, no one follows him to bring him back. They resume the game. Suddenly, all the lights switch off, leaving them in complete darkness with the torrential rain as the only source of sound. Initially, they think David is pranking them, but after a while, Jordan suggests disabling the generator from the garage in the basement. To add to their problems, their cell phones have no service. Amidst the obvious hostage situation, no one except Jordan seems to realize that they are in a real problem. Finally, Jordan leaves to see the issue while B leaves to go to the bathroom. While searching for it, she comes across an expensive statue. As she looks at it in admiration, she sees David on the other side of the window. His throat is slashed and he's choking on his own blood. Sophie also arrives at the same time and freaks out when she sees her best friend. Everyone rushes out to save David, but he's already long gone. At this point, all the others are panicking. Jordan grabs Sophie's car keys and they rush to escape. Unfortunately, the battery of the car has run out. Yeah, so they are royally screwed. They return to the mansion and realize that there's an actual killer among them. Jordan also finds the weapon that might have been used to kill David. They suspect Max or Greg as both of them have a personal vendetta against David. Alice protests, but quickly shuts up when she fails to answer even basic things about her boyfriend. Everyone suspects Greg as they know nothing about him and nobody has seen him since he left for bed. An argument ensues, but Alice doesn't have much information to defend her boyfriend. They go to his room and discover his bed empty. Jordan is carrying a butcher's knife to protect herself if Greg really were to be a serial killer. While searching his room, they come across his bag with some tools and a map. They suspect him further and stupidly don't realize that they are all necessary instruments during a storm. Moving on, they search the other rooms too and find Emma crouched in a bed, shivering in fear. They ask her to join them. After some time, they find Greg in the mansion's gym where he had been sleeping with headphones on. They aggressively begin questioning him about the tools in his bag, also accusing him of David's murder. Initially, he believes it's a prank, but upon noticing the weapons in the hands of the women, he abruptly grabs a knife too. He forces them to drop the weapons, but flips out when Emma suddenly attacks him. He throws her off and tries to grab the knife again. B is swift on her feet and hits him with a kettlebell, killing him. Alice panics at the sight of her dead boyfriend while B pukes after the sudden act of violence. The remaining women turn against each other as the tension flares up. Sophie blames Emma for David's death, as Max might have killed him because of her. Emma is visibly upset at the blame game, but Sophie doesn't stop and continues to insult her. She leaves in anger. B, in the meantime, is changing out of her blood-soaked clothes. Later, we see Sophie doing some illegal candy due to the stress of the situation. She also finds Emma in the kitchen and apologizes for her behavior. Emma responds to the apology by kissing her, which pisses her off again. Instead, Sophie gives Emma some pills and leaves. Unfortunately, after a while, Alice comes across Emma's lifeless body at the bottom of the staircase. It looks like she fell, but everyone is of the opinion that somebody pushed her. The other women are insanely blaming each other at this point. They turn their attention to B and accuse her of killing Emma because she has put makeup on while changing. Further, they tell Sophie that she had been lying to her as they had looked her up. She hadn't graduated from Utah State as she had claimed. So Jordan and Alice force her out in the rain as Sophie sits in resignation. Outside, B slams on the door to let her in. The weather is worse now and she has to find a way to get in. B suddenly notices Jordan with a gun. To save Sophie, she tries to go back inside through a doggy door, which leads straight to the room where the others were in. She confronts the girls and confesses to Sophie that she had gone to Utah State for a semester, but later dropped out when she had to take care of her mother, who has a borderline personality disorder. She was embarrassed and just wanted Sophie to like her. She also warns the others that Jordan has a gun and asks her to empty her pockets. As she's emptying her pockets, it's discovered that Jordan had been the killer for the game and must have started to kill for real. Jordan laughs at the ridiculous claim, but suddenly draws out her gun. She also confesses that Sophie had cheated on B with Jordan. Another argument ensues, and Jordan calls Sophie out for her victim behavior every single time. Alice sides with Jordan, which makes Sophie reveal that Jordan hates Alice's podcast in reality. This string of arguments results in Jordan losing her mind, ultimately resulting in an altercation between her and Alice. She accidentally shoots her, ultimately killing her friend. Now, Sophie attempts to take Jordan's gun while she keeps pointing it towards her. B suddenly jumps onto Jordan and fights her to get the gun away from her. During the physical struggle, B manages to throw Jordan off the banister. Jordan falls down and is impaled by the glass bottles below. While dying, Jordan asks B to check Sophie's phone and repeatedly fires at them with her remaining strength. Now the two lovers hide in a closet, but B doesn't seem to trust Sophie anymore. She doesn't respond to her claim of love and escapes somewhere. Maniacally, Sophie searches for her. It is morning now, and B finally makes it out of the mansion. Unfortunately, Sophie finds her, who tearfully confesses that she had given Emma pills which might have caused her to fall down the stairs. She cries in B's arms while she comforts her. Although it might seem like it's over, it's really not as B grabs the gun and asks Sophie to show her the texts. Sophie throws away her phone, which makes the two girls fight over it. They fall into the swimming pool, but still struggle to get to the phone. But Sophie discovers that it's not her phone, but David's. B manages to unlock the phone and finds a TikTok where David is trying to open a champagne bottle like Greg. He has accidentally killed himself by swinging the sword wrong. There has been no killer in the first place, and David is just dumb. The movie ends with the hero of it all, Max, arriving. He seems to casually storm in and doesn't bat an eye at the sight of David's body. B tells him that she has service on her cell phone. Amazing.